I'd like to open it up now to questionings and answers to get some of your perspective. And if you at home have any questions for me, Oleg, about the movement, about Naham or monsters generally, I'd love to answer them.
First of all.
I don't approve.
What is it that you are not approving of?
I think monsters and humans should remain separate at all times. I think for as much as these stereotypes can be harmful, they're also based on a lot of fact. My dad was killed by a monster.
Wow. And before we are at home being angry at him for this perspective, because this is a perspective that I'm hearing a lot, is the fear of the monsters, and it's true. Yeah, there are monsters who are eating the humans. There are monsters who are ripping the flesh of the humans, and this is a problem. And I'm not going to deny that problem with you here today. It's a problem, absolutely. But what is the core of this difference? If you could see somebody like me, yeah, I'm clearly not a monster, yeah, I look like a human, yeah, but we take a closer look. What is this? And so now we are curious. What is happening? Is this a human? Is this a monster? Right? Because his head is very tall. His head is taller than it should be, yeah.
Yes.
And so we are saying, what is going on here? Why is his head so tall? And it's because I'm a monster, yeah. And I am not fully a monster. No, I'm a half monster. My mother is a monster. She is made out of slime. And my father is a normal man. And so this is the result. I have a very strange head. But I'm part human. And to that I say, what do you make of me? Someone who is half a human and a half a monster. Is there no way that you can find love in your heart for somebody like me?
Absolutely not. I hate your fucking guts, and I wish you were dead.
Wow. This is the wrong.
This is. I respect your opinion, and I hope that perhaps later down the road we might be able to discuss privately our differences and explore some ways that we can communicate.
The second this stream is over, I'm going to pour a bunch of salt on you and watch you shrivel up.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Well,
and so that's an opinion.
Get a question from the chat. Let's just kind of. Ground Beans has asked, "What is your favorite monster?" If we're talking about, taking the stigma off of monsters, who's a monster that you think is great?
Yeah, my favorite monster. Yeah, that's a very difficult question, right? Because picking favorites, it is always going to hurt somebody's feelings, yeah. And I'm friends with a lot of monsters, and to choose one monster in particular would be political in ways that I don't know if I'm completely comfortable with. But some of my favorite monsters, yeah, are Count Chocula, yeah, from the cereal box. Count Chocula, very scary, very
real?
interesting.
Is he an actual monster?
Yeah, Count Chocula, yeah, very real monster. Sweet guy, very sweet guy, very nice guy.
Is he related to Dracula?
No, that's actually, that's a common misconception, that Count Chocula and Count Dracula. But if you listen closely, it's two different names, right? Count Chocula and Count Dracula, right? So, there goes my accent, right? And so people are saying, what happens to your accent when it's disappearing? Yeah, and so I'll address that now so that it's not a distraction, because I've spent years traveling through Europe, right? So sometimes my accent slips into British. There it is, right? And then it turns back into this sort of Eastern European accent. And that's because I'm traveling all over the world. I'm never stopping, right? Always moving around, always trying to find the next place to push the movement in a way that can represent humans and monsters.
No, I totally get that. Sometimes when I watch the Harry Potter movies, afterwards I say awful instead of awful.
Yeah, that's similar. Yeah, it's the same thing, yeah.
There's another chat question. I guess this is based on the whole you being half monster. This would be good.
Mm-hmm.
So What a Disaster says, does this org want us to have sex with monsters?
So I'm guessing they're asking about Naham, your organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nahum. Yeah, sex with monsters. Yeah, and let's go there, right? Let's go there. Let's leave no stone unturned, right? No leaf unturned. So sex, yeah. It's a natural part of life, and it's a natural part of monster life. And so, if a man and a woman, or a monster and a man, or a man and a monster, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a man, or a monster and a monster want to have sex, and they should be able to have sex, right? I mean, this is 2019, and we shouldn't be deciding what people are doing in their bedrooms. And so, if a monster and a man and a man and a man and a man and a woman and a woman and a woman and one monster and a monster want to have sex, or any combination of any of those, I say the more the merrier, right? Because we want the little human monster babies. They're so cute, right? That could do a lot, I think, to improve. You see a little monster baby, and you see, oh, he has the cute little human head and the cute little human eyes, but his arms are tentacles, or his feet are little spikes. That might be adorable, and so I'm for that. Yeah, I'm into it.
I have a question. So typically, with kids, just as you're talking about, we tell them to be afraid of the boogeyman, or don't look under your bed like there's a monster. There's lots of these common monster-related warnings and tall tales.
They're all true.
Well, yeah, whatever. Maybe they're true, maybe they're not. I'm not going to make a call. But there's lots of these things that we say to kids. How would you recommend that we adjust our language? Does Nahum feel a certain way? Do we want to talk more positively?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, because the children need to be careful, right? Yeah, there are threats in the world. To your point, yes, there are monsters under your bed sometimes. Yeah, and I can't deny that. What I would say to your question is, we should focus on all the problems, right? Not just the monster-related problems, the monster under the bed, but perhaps there's a terrorist under your bed, right?
Okay.
And that's a man, right? That's a human. That perhaps Al Qaeda is under your bed, and you didn't even think about it, or ISIS is in your closet, right? And the little children don't even know. They think, the monster from Monsters Inc. is in my closet, when really it is ISIS. Right, and so that's a problem.
I would
that
rather
I think,
have ISIS in my closet than a monster.
That's a problem that I think is not talked about enough with the children. Is you're walking down the street and perhaps there's a stranger, or perhaps there's a boogeyman, right? Or perhaps there's some sort of a terror organization that's out to get you.
So maybe
these are all threats that children should be made aware of, right? Not just the monsters, everybody.
So maybe just say there's a stranger under the bed?
Perhaps there's a stranger under the bed. Well, a stranger can be anything, right? A stranger could be a strange monster, or a strange man, or a strange person.
Okay.
So there's many threats, and we should address them all equally. That's what I would have to say about that.
Sort of along the same lines as the question I asked, I didn't see there's a question in the chat from Fever Woman. Is there a more correct term we should use instead of monster? And they commented that monster seems like retarded, excuse my language, it could be that kind of a slur or a word that's not considered correct.
And thank you for that question, Fever Woman, because it's an important one that we understand what we are saying monster, right? Because you're right, it does have a negative a sort of negative connotation, right? Like retarded. And so what we're doing when we're trying to make a movie like Monsters Inc. or something is that we're reclaiming that word, right? We're taking that word back. We say, give us that word. You cannot have that word. We're taking it. We're taking the word monster and we're using it in our film, and you can't have it, right? You haters of monsters. And there's problems with that, because there's still people who are using the monster like they use the other words that aren't so savory, right?
And what if people are like, I'm going to see Monsters Inc. this weekend, like if it's a human, and you want to reclaim your word, but humans need to like say the title in order to like share with their friends. I feel like there's a dilemma. Right,
yeah, I see what you're saying, is that you don't want to use the word, you want to use it, but in the right context, right? And so, we've explored other options. We've explored perhaps changing it to monster, right, instead of monster.
Oh, that's actually exactly what someone in the chat
with the soft A, yeah. This has mixed results, right? Because some people don't know what you're talking about when you say a monster, right? They say, what is that? A monster? I only know monster. And so this is sort of a linguistic issue that we run into. But the important thing is not what we call them, but what they are, right? It's not a matter of the words. It's a matter of the people and the monsters, and all of us working together to form a cohesive unit, right?
Mm.
You know, Count Chocula was the monster who killed my dad.
Whoa. Oh, right. Well,
it wasn't through like murder or anything. It was just cereal. It gave him diabetes.
Oh, so maybe that's like a shared
well, yeah, that seems like maybe
Ronald McDonald is also responsible for giving my uncle diabetes. I hate Ronald too. I hate clowns just as much as I hate monsters.
Is Ronald
like? There's a reason there are monster clowns.
Is Ronald McDonald a monster?
Or is he just a man?
Oh yeah, no,
clown?
that's actually a common misconception. Yeah, Ronald McDonald actually is not a monster. He's just a fucking creep, right? He's just a fucking creepy man, creepy guy dressed up in makeup, right? So the monsters don't want to claim that. Y'all can have that.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. So is there any other questions from the audience, from the chat that we'd like to cover before I say my goodbye?
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
guess it's more about like your personal experience being half monster, half human.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, I see you have a weird cone head, but like, is there any other things that are part monster, or like, is there things that get in the way of doing your like human activities?
What's your dick like?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Well, it's funny you should ask that. Yeah, there are the parts. It's not just my head. Also, I do have a cone-shaped head, and that is sort of the most defining characteristic. But you're right. My penis does look like the sandworm from Star Wars, right? And that's something that usually I won't say here in public, but it's an important thing. The question to be transparent, right? And so I'll say that I'm proud to have a penis that's shaped like the Star Wars sandworm.
Does it also
it's not
just
a big problem for me.
So in that case, does it also emerge when it's fed?
Yeah, that
sandworm
language
works?
You
is
start with a
Like,
crevasse,
there's a
and
hole?
then it just...
yeah, it's
Like
sort
a
of like
pit?
it's inside of me, right? And so when it's excited or when it sees like there's food coming nearby, it squirms out,
Okay.
right? And so it
I don't
does
know
a
why I
sniff. It does a sniff. It says,
I don't know why I
and it
asked.
says, "Is this food or is this just the inside of pants?" Because most of the time it's just the inside of my pants, right? But every now and then it comes out. It says, "Hello, hello. Is there something for me out there?"
Does it speak?
No, this is just the voice that I put for my nose. The sandworm, my sandworm penis.
What
Yeah.
do you feed?
Yeah. We don't have to talk about that here. Basically, there are, various grapes or lettuce or things that you would feed to a turtle. Those are the things that it seems to like. It's like a leafy green, yeah.
Like roughage?
Like a roughage, yeah, or like a leaves. Things that you would find outside. But sometimes I give it a treat. Chobani yogurt. Do you
That's
know
a tree?
Chobani? Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
tree?
Oh, yeah. When it's been good, we give it the Chobani. Yeah. So these are the realities, right? These are the harsh realities of living a half human and a half monster life. Is that your head is shaped like a cone and your penis is the sandworm from Star Wars. But life is not easy for everyone, right? Everybody is having challenges. Oh, so we don't
I think we should show ban all monsters from flying. I think we should show ban all monsters from flying.
Oh, with
ban all
with
the monsters.
Chobani.
Well, that would be tough because there are some monsters who can fly without a plane, right? So monsters who have it, or
Well,
who
that's
are
not under the
having.
jurisdiction of the TSA, so I don't give a shit about that.
All right. Well,
We have another question about your experience as a half human, half monster.
yeah, shoot. Please go
that
ahead.
is pivoting away from your sandworm penis. Laser Kid 2009 asks, are there any parts of you emotionally that are more monster, or is it just the cone head and your penis?
I
Yeah.
said ding dong.
Yeah, you said ding dong. Let's.
Oh,
Ding
I'm
dong.
sorry. Is it just the cone head and your ding
wow,
dong?
that first of all, who was the one who asked that question? Because wow, that is
Laser Kid 2009.
Laser Kid, wow, thank you, Laser Kid, thank you for that question, because that is something that is much more interesting and compelling and deep than the typical questions that I'm receiving, because expect it or not, you might not believe it, but most of the questions that I get are about my sandworm penis. When I say sandworm penis, for some reason, every time it's all we can ask about is the sandworm penis, and tell us more about the sandworm penis.
And it looks like we just got a bunch of new people. So can you explain what you mean by your sandworm?
Right, so
can you just reiterate?
If you're just joining us, the long story short is my name is Oleg. I'm part of a coalition to join Monsters and Humans. I am part monster and part human, right? The monster parts of me are this crazy cone head, right? You can't quite see it because of the background, but if you see, my head is extremely strange, right? In addition to the cone head, right, I've got a penis that is shaped like a Star Wars sandworm, right? It's got a mouth that opens up, it does a little sniff, and it eats the lettuce and the Chobani yogurt. So now we're all caught up, right? That's the realities that I'm dealing with right now.
Right, and so we just asked
you. And so Laser Kid, right, Laser Kid, I don't want to forget about your question because I think it's a good one. Yeah, so emotions. My most, I would say, monster-like emotion is that I feel sort of a deep calling when the moon is full, right? And I think this is a feeling that even humans can feel, right? The tides are moving, the moon is full, you feel sort of a calling to bay at the moon, to make a howling noise at the moon. And so this is something that I feel very deeply, and I don't know if it's because my mother's side is monstrous, or perhaps because my father's side has some sort of wolf lineage. But that is a feeling that's very strong for me. When I feel like a monster, I feel like I'm howling at the moon.
What is your bay? What does your bay sound like?
Sure, yeah. So because the moon isn't full right now, I won't be able to do a full bay, right?
Just
because
like if
it's
you could
different.
imagine,
but sure, if I could imagine that the moon was full, I would probably do something like or something like that.
Oh, so pretty traditional.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Yeah, there's not a lot of deviation from the typical werewolf howl or bay at the moon. But that's sort of what I'm doing when it's a full moon, is that I'm baying at the moon and I'm calling to the other monsters and the other animals in the universe to say, hello, look, it's the moon. The moon is full tonight. Isn't it a beautiful moon? And that is what we are saying.
Great.
This is why we need to blow up the moon.
Okay, well, we're all sharing our opinions here today, and I think that's important, that we're having a dialogue.
I think there's another question in the chat that I find very interesting that I'm wondering, too, if it's not impolite to ask, what type of monster was your mother, was it?
Yeah. So to clarify, my mother is a monster and my father is a normal human, or so he says, right? Because we don't know what he is. He says he's a human, but we're not sure, right? Right? We all know how family can be. No, but he's a human, and my mother is a puddle of slime. Yeah. So she is a slime monster. She lives mainly on the floor. She sort of scuttles about us because she is a puddle. She has a hard time with things like steps. There's a series of tubes in my home with sort of a vacuum suction. So when she wants to go, let's say, from the living room to the bedroom, which is up the stairs, she must scoot her body up to the suction part of a tube, where her entire body is sucked into the tube, up through the system of tubes, and into the bedroom, where her and my father, of course, have sex, like any good family should always do.
That is fascinating.
That's wild.
Yes, and so she's a puddle of slime, but she's very beautiful. I don't want anybody at home to have the wrong impression. She is a puddle of slime, but she is a looker, right? Okay, I don't look like this from my father alone, right? There's multiple genes in here making this painting work. So, Mom, if you're watching at home, Mom, I love you, and you're a very beautiful puddle of slime.
And the sandworm penis. Sorry to keep bringing this
up,
but like
it's
please. Like a mixture of the slime genes and the human. Like that's like a math equation, sort of.
Yeah, I'm not a genealogist, right? I'm not a biologist, and so I don't know what is it about my slime puddle mother that is making my penis look like the sandworm from Star Wars, right? I didn't ask for that, right? If I had it my way, I would have a normal penis, right? I think we would all like to have a normal penis. But what does that mean, right? Is my penis really that abnormal because it has giant pincer jaws and a sort of rotating skeletal
like rows
sort
of teeth?
Rows of teeth, and scales. Is that so different from a normal penis? I don't think so, right? A normal penis is very strange in its own way.
You need to put all the monsters on an island where they can have all their weird genitalia. And you need to just get people like you away from my children.
Wow, people like me. Wow, you people. Is that what you're saying? Well, things are getting quite heated, and I don't mean to make it rude, but to be frank, you remind me of some of the monsters that I know, right? And so perhaps some inward looking is in store for you, my friend.
Look, all I'm gonna say is that Godzilla could step on me, but that's all the nice things I have to say about monsters.
Hey, Godzilla is a very nice woman. We don't have to bring I know Godzilla very well. She's on my board, and she would not step on the likes of you, my friend. I'll tell you that much.
A couple people who came in later are asking about, and this is not a community I'm familiar with, but Jupiter Ninja 95 asks, how do you feel about the monster fucker community? Are they just fetishizing monsters, or are they normalizing human-monster relations, which I think they missed some of the pairings that you were talking about that you support fucking.
Very good question. Yeah, and I'm glad you're asking it now because there are some people in the chat who missed this. Could you what was the name again?
It was Jupiter Ninja 95.
Jupiter Ninja 95. Jupiter Ninja 95. Thank you. That's a very good question about the monster fuckers, right? Because we hear the monster fuckers and we say, "Oh, what is this?" It's so explicit. We can't have the children around the monster fuckers because the fucker is in the name, right? We hear the fucker and we say, "Oh no." Oh no, they are the fuckers. But really, the monster fuckers are a sex-positive group, right? They just want to promote sexual enjoyment between the monsters and the humans. And if you weren't here before, I'm a big believer in the man and the man and the woman and the man and the woman and the woman and the monster and the man and the man and the monster and the woman and the monster and the monster and the monster. Any type of relationship between those people or monsters is completely acceptable to me. And so I am a complete supporter of the monster fucker movement, right? Perhaps a different name so that we can put it in schools, yeah? So when we go to the school, we don't have to say, okay, children, here comes the monster fuckers, right? Because some of the children, they plug their ears when they hear the monster fuckers. Perhaps the monster lovers would be a better name.
Makers.
But I think it's very important, right? That the children are learning about these things, right?
What do you think we should refer to them as? You were just saying maybe monster lovers
monster bangers.
Monster bangers, yeah. Monster bangers is interesting, yeah, because it has sort of like how you might describe a good song, right? You say, this song is a banger, or I'm going to bang this monster. Wow.
Right.
The monster,
wow, this monster is a banger. I want to bang this monster.
Boys, monster sexies.
Yeah, and these are all good ideas. And if you are having more of them, I would say you should be reaching out to the monster fuckers because they are all ears, as far as I know. They are always looking for.
In some cases,
most of them, yes, and some of them are literally all ears. Yes, some of them are made of ears. And so that is making them very good at the listening, right? Very good at the listening. The monsters that are made of all ears. So yes, I would say your input will be heard if you decide to tell them those things.
Great.
I think that's about it.
Okay, well, great. Thank you all. I appreciate you having me. I hope that in the future you are being more kind to your monster friends and that you spread the message. Right? We are all part of the movement. Thank you. Thank you all.